Hello, everyone. It's me, White Snowzer, and we are back a year later on YouTube. I know it's been a while since we released a video here on YouTube, but we're actually trying to, create content here on YouTube for once. And it won't be just Black Desert content, right? This is still going to be a BDO channel, but we're also going to be talking about gaming news and other things, right, that's happening in the gaming space, or even on the internet space at that, right? What's happening on the internet, right? So we're gonna watch a video. We're gonna a reaction video, right? A reaction video. Rarely do these because I watch their videos all the time. I like watching their content, and go over there if you haven't checked them out. Clownfish TV. I'll link them down below. And yeah, let's go check this out, right? It's going to be about gaming compared to here in the United States and compared to Japan, right? Now, you already have probably already thought, like, what are they possibly about to talk about, huh? Right? You already have an idea. It's probably going to be DI, right? DEI and, you know, the things that they're pushing here in the West and, people getting laid off, right? Right now, these things are to be expected for the most part, since most of these companies, these studios, are not actually turning a profit. They're losing money, right? We already know this. It's because people are not buying the game. People are buying indie games for the most part. People bought Baldur's Gate. People bought Power World, right? Or yeah, people bought Power World. People bought Helldivers, right? People are buying indie games now and not buying AAA games. Right? There's still people buying those games. Yes, there are going to be still people who are buying, but not the required number of people that they're used to. So they're going to lay people off because people are not buying the game as much. Like Modern Warfare 3, I'm pretty sure a lot of people didn't buy the game, right? Right. I play Warzone. That's pretty much it. I ain't buying anything, right? So let's get into it.
Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I'm not here with Geeky Sparkles. I'm going to talk about the video game industry. I'm going to talk about the difference between the American Western AAA video game industry and the Japanese video game industry. If you read the news and you talk about the video game industry and you talk about the layoffs in the video game industry, it paints a very bleak picture for many AAA developers.
Yeah.
In fact, we have lots of developers, people working in the industry now. They're like, gaming's over, it's all gone, everything's turning to dust.
Right, the only and arguably we're gonna right, the only AAA studios that are doing well are quite naturally the ones in Korea, right? Stellar Blade, right? These are independent studios, right? Every single one of them, right? Yeah, some FromSoft is AAA, right? They make their own games, right? They're pretty good games, right? You can say every single game they release is actually a good game thus far. Like Armored Core was a hit. Freaking Elden Ring is about to be another hit in a few more in a little bit, right? That game's about to blow up again.
Oh my God, what are we going to do? And in Japan, it's a totally different story. Now, we're going
Yep.
to talk about that. We're going to talk about some questionable decisions that Nintendo of America might be making later in the video.
Yep.
But for now, we're going to focus on how in Japan it's not doom and gloom. In fact, things are looking very good. And I would argue in the indie space, outside of AAA gaming, things are looking very good. Indie games are incredibly popular. In fact,
Yeah.
if you want to watch me take a stab at some indie games, go out to the official Clownfish TV X account. It's at clownfishtv.com. We're working on that. We're trying to get Clownfish TV back. But I
Let me
actually.
add to the indie conversation. Right? I'm a strong advocate for indie games, especially more now, right? And I feel like more people should try indie games, right? Because there's a lot of indie games that are really really freaking good, right? There's a lot of indie games that are, I must say, a must play because a lot of them are good, right? Like quite naturally, like Power World is a good game. Right? It's a very good game. Baldur's Gate 3 was a banger of a game, right? And these games are really good. Like uh, this one game I played, I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I enjoyed the game. I still have it to this day, and I play it here and there whenever I get the chance. Genesis Alpha 1, right? So very weird game at first glance, yes, but I feel like the game is pretty good. Like I like the game. I enjoy it. I got laughed at for playing the game because it's an indie game. It's like, oh, but this game's pretty good though. I mean, in my opinion, it was a good game, and I enjoyed
I've
it.
been live streaming some indie games over there. Last night I played Maniac, which is incredibly violent. It's
Oh,
very much like GTA 1 or 2,
oh, that's like
but
GTA. Okay.
it was a lot of fun.
Oh,
It's
that's
pretty
like
cool.
cool. That's like
This
dope.
game I think was made by like one guy,
Ah,
and
very
it's like
typical.
$5
Only
on
one
Steam.
guy made the game. That's very common, don't you think? That most of these games are being made by one person. Like, how is one person able to do the job? Like, to actually make a game good? Has one person able to do something that a company full of 3,000 workers should be able to easily do? It's like that makes no sense. Like the numbers don't add up, right? Sometimes I don't understand how some of these studios have like thousands of employees who are helping make a game, but yet the game is so incomplete. It's like to divide the work, it should be easy, right? Divide the work amongst yourselves to where that, okay, you can finish in a timely manner and everyone's doing something and benefiting and, well, contributing to this game. Like, it should be easy if there's like 1,000 plus people, 100 other people who are capable of making a game. But for some reason, it's not like that. And it doesn't make sense. How is one person able to do this? It's like, oh, it should be. Look at the style of the game, but that's still one person, though, making an absolutely good product compared to thousands of people who cannot make a single good product.
And for $5,
For
it's
$5
amazing.
too, hey, that's
But
pretty.
yeah, we played that. We played
That looks fun.
tested with Vampire Survivors and some other games, and I might do more indie game streams over on X, Twitter. I'm trying to, I guess, make the best of it over there. I wasn't really sold on it, but they are adding a lot more features now that I
Yeah,
do
Twitter's getting a
like,
lot
and so I might
better
be
with
willing to
their
give it another
streaming.
chance.
Yeah,
And I do think that
Elon's
the
doing his thing.
live streaming overall is better quality than YouTube's. Not as many people.
I do have to point that I feel like the only way you can stream on YouTube right now is that you already have to have a existing audience from another platform. Now, I'm pretty sure like it varies. It's a case by case situation. Um, like let's say for example, Hollow Life, for example, and a lot of the people who are VTubers on YouTube, right? The VTubers who are YouTubers, right? They stream on YouTube. These people kind of have an establishment, right? To where it's like, okay, they plant the seed, and pretty much all you have to do is just catch the attention of the audience. So that's how most of these people get their audience on YouTube if they do stream on YouTube, right? They get promoted, right? And you got to get promoted. I feel like that's the only way to really be able to stream effectively on YouTube. Whereas I feel like it's a lot more different on Twitter. I feel like it's a lot more easier to get
I don't think
an
watching
audience
us over there, but we did.
compared
We
to
did have
YouTube.
about. God, I just was messing around last night for about an hour, and I think I had about 700 people watching. So yeah, check us out on X again. That's at Clownfish TV com. While we work on trying to get at Clownfish TV back. So this comes from the Japan Times. Japan's game industry weathers the storm amid layoffs worldwide. I said, well, 2023 was a stellar year in the eyes of game enthusiasts
Yep.
because we had games like Zelda and
Yeah,
Baldur's Gate.
Zelda
This
was a
year
bomb.
has so far seen game companies generate headlines for an
Not
altogether
bomb in a
different
bad way.
reason:
It was
mass
pretty
layoffs.
good.
From Microsoft to Sony Interactive, industry
Really
giants
good.
have shed hundreds of employees with games canceled as a result. In Japan, something of a parallel universe exists. The country has proven curiously resistant to layoffs, with local gaming studios actually embarking on a hiring push and raising salaries to entice talent. This is very much like the comic book industry versus the manga industry, isn't it? Where manga is selling very, very well. Now it is down from its historic highs, but still, compared to the Western comic book industry, it's doing gangbusters, and it's doing gangbusters over here.
Mm.
And
Yeah,
but
that's very true.
if you look at the American comic book in
Yeah, if we talk about that very briefly, with the comic industry here in the West, it's it's been it's been pretty horrible. It's been at its worst that it's ever been because it's never been really bad whatsoever, right? And you can say it's their fault, right? It's their fault. Manga's more popular. Manhwa's starting to become more popular here in the West too. Like I hear about a lot more people reading those a lot more, right? So you have things from overseas that are becoming more popular than your Western culture stuff, right? Your comics are not popular anymore, and it brings me. What was the main thing? Like the Captain America becoming a communist, right? That was one of the the one things people really hated, right? Because they changed them into that. Um, I am not Starfire, right? That people really hate. I hated that one. I'm like, why is she such a bitch towards her mom? Like I freaking hated her. Like I'm like, dude, like nah. And then the person who wrote that character too is like, don't buy, if you don't like my politics, right, don't buy my books. And quite naturally, everyone did that. Right, everyone did that, and that's what contributes. And then you got the Spider-Man, debacle, all that too. Like there's things, those things just plummet the freaking comic industry, right? And a lot of people are just not looking at comics anymore nowadays. They're just looking at manhwa and manga now.
industry, it's been
But the
completely
West did it to
decimated,
themselves, right?
destroyed.
They got
It's
no one else to blame but
a
themselves
one-way
at that
ticket to
point.
poverty town for a lot of people.
Yep.
And I think the problem is you. I think the problem is the people that they're hiring.
Yeah, it's
And
the
we'll
people
talk
they're
about
hiring.
this. And we'll talk about something that's come up, a job listing that I hope Nintendo of America doesn't make the same mistakes.
It's
that
like
they're
you already imagine what he's gonna say. It's like the DEI, diversity hires. It's all those. It's a checklist, right? They're hiring certain people, and if you don't meet those requirements, right, it doesn't matter how much talented you are compared to that person. You're not gonna get hired because you're not one of those things that are on that checklist, right? And they're probably trying to meet a quota, right? Don't they got the ESG score shit? Yeah, they're just trying to meet that so they can boost their ESGs so that they can get more funding from the DEI stuff. And that's all they care about. And they're not trying to make good products, especially in the gaming industry, right? Especially in the comic industry. They're not trying to make good products. They're just trying to push their agenda, right? Push their politics through your content. It's easier for them to, and then also, it's easier for someone to pick up something that already has an established fan base so they can try to push their agenda and politics through those characters, which that's what they did with a lot of the things that we enjoy, right? And that's why people are buying indie games, right? That's the main reason why people are buying indie games, because it's like, well, now we're gonna have to find something new to enjoy, because they've already ruined the characters that I like, or they already ruined the franchise that I like because they just want to do those things, unfortunately.
peers have made. When you compare Japan to the rest of the world, it's as stable as a rock.
Yeah.
Said the head of a Tokyo-based video game consultancy, Canton Games. Is it Canton Games? The current global situation also stands in stark contrast to the one a few years ago when the pandemic trapped people at home. The video game industry as a whole enjoyed a winning streak, but studios that ballooned at that time are now downsizing.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm going to talk about this because this is what happened.
Yeah,
Basically, there was
overhiring.
a lot
Yeah.
of overhiring.
Yeah.
And Forbes put an article out. They're talking more about the tech industry in general, like Facebook and
Yeah, they're talking about the tech.
Twitter.
We already know about
obviously,
that.
and several other social media companies.
Yeah,
Amazon
Microsoft,
just laid a bunch of people off
Google.
today too.
I didn't know about Amazon
and
doing that
AWS.
today.
But they did. They
Yeesh.
hired way too many people during the pandemic. They thought
Sheesh,
that
I didn't know
apparently
that.
they thought we were going to be locked in our houses forever. Was that the plan? I don't know.
Honestly, that's what they're probably hoping for. They're actually probably hoping that the pandemic was gonna last a little bit longer so they can milk it. right? Because everyone was just at home. So quite naturally, when you're at home, guess what? You have to consume some type of content, and people were watching Twitch, people were watching YouTube, people were watching. They're playing the game, right? They're buying books, right? Buying comic books, buying manga, buying right. They're buying things to keep themselves occupied, and the tech industry was at its peak, right? That it's ever been at because of the pandemic. But now that things returned back to normal, right? They didn't know they don't need all those people, right? They don't need any of those people. So they're gonna like, yep, fire all of you.
Maybe it was. Who the hell knows? And now they're
Yeah, who the
laying
hell
these people
knows?
off. Now, a lot of the people they hired based on DEI requirements, and they hired a lot of, I hate to say it, a lot of the wrong people. Now,
Yeah, long
I'm
and
going to
wrong people.
reiterate for the
Yeah,
umpteenth time for those of you in the back who are not
yeah,
listening.
yeah. Not
I think
listening.
the right person for the job should always be hired, and the
Yep,
right person can come in any gender, any skin tone,
yep.
any religion.
It's very sad that that has to be said. It's like, what happened to just being talented? Is like, come on now. Like, put the best person in that position, right? Or the best people who can be in that position. Like, what happened to that? I mean, I'm pretty sure Japan is still doing that. Quite naturally, Japan is Japan. They're gonna always be like that, right? That's how it should be. That's how the rest of the world should be. The most talented people or the best person for that job should always be put in that position, not because of their race, sexuality, or gender, right? Come on, like get real, right?
What I'm saying, any ethnicity, that's never been a question for me. However, with DEI policies, a lot of times the wrong person gets put into a job just because
Yep,
they have those traits, right?
yep.
So even if this particular person is not qualified at all, we need one of these particular kinds
Yeah,
of people. So we're going
yeah,
to
they're
put them
just
in,
meeting the quota.
and
That's all they're trying to
that's
do.
not good. That's not good for business. And Japan's a pretty homogenous country, right? So I don't think you're going to get a lot of DEI in Japan, but here in the West, the
Yeah,
Western
nah,
arms of these companies, they
definitely not
absolutely
Japan. They're
positively
trying.
are going to push it, and we'll talk about that. This at the same time, the rise of indie developers and the growth and popularity of mobile gaming have resulted in a more competitive industry, with larger companies being squeezed. No, what's
Yeah,
going on is gamers are rejecting
triple A.
the AAA titles.
Yep,
They're rejecting
Yep. Just buying
the
double
titles from the
the
mainstream
just buying
publishers.
the
In a lot
indie
of cases,
games.
they're rejecting them because of the
That's all we're
heavy-handed
doing now.
politics. They're rejecting them because of them squeezing gamers. Constant DLC, live service games,
Ah,
subscriptions,
Call of Duty,
unfinished
Activision,
games, unpolished games being shipped,
unpolished
and
games,
and they're asking 70 to 80 bucks for it.
and that's the crazy part too, right? Right, when I think of the unpolished games, quite naturally, I think of Battlefield 2042. That game was so unpolished, right? That game was, and I would even say that I didn't like after I played the game, I stopped playing it for like a few months because I was just not happy. I'm like, damn, this game's trash right now. Like, what the heck? They haven't added anything. Took them months to finally like start fixing the game. It's like, wow, like it takes y'all that long. Hey, it's almost been a whole year now at this point, and y'all now are starting to. I mean, thank God the game's good now, but why does it take years for y'all to actually now make a game good? And it should have been like that at launch, right? Unpolished game, right? Very annoyed with that, right? A lot of gamers are annoyed with that too. Then you got the pushing DLC and right, and the main company I think of with this is freaking Activision with their bundles and skins and they're just constantly pushing these, but they're not fixing the game. They're not trying to get rid of the hackers though. Like what? Same thing with Apex. They're constantly trying to push you new skins and new right, all this other stuff that makes the gameplay nice and look nice, but not trying to fix the hacker issue. Like, come on. Hey, all these issues are ruining the
You know what I'm
game.
saying? That's what's going on. Meanwhile, for $5, for
Five
five
bucks.
bucks, you can get a
This
game like
Maniac
this
game.
where you just
That actually does
blow
look fun
stuff
though.
up. Hours and hours of fun just blowing stuff up for $5 on Steam. I'm pretty sure it's just one guy. I just saw one guy's name on the title screen of Maniac. I'm just putting it out there. Just putting it out there. In January, Microsoft laid off 1,900
Free
employees
promo, free
across
promo.
Activision Blizzard and Xbox. According to an internal memo leaked to the media in February, Sony laid off a bunch of people. The industry has changed immensely. We need to be future ready. EA cut people. While companies overseas are laying off thousands, studios in Japan are scrambling to attract and retain talent. A state of affairs that is symptomatic of the nation's demographic challenges and its shrinking workforce. Make more babies. That's what you have to do. Make more babies.
Make more games.
In March, Capcom announced it was raising its starting salary for new graduate hires for the fiscal year that began Monday as the company pursues further investment in human capital and the acquisition of exceptional talent. Now, back in the day, you would start with a company, and a lot of times you'd retire at that company in Japan.
Yeah.
Even in the U.S. to a certain degree.
Yeah.
But in Japan especially, you hear about the career trajectories of a lot of longtime game developers. And they started out like in their, even late teens, early 20s, and then they rose through the ranks.
They rose through the ranks,
wound up being like the head of the department, or their, what I'm saying? It was a career.
Like Akira Toriyama.
It was a career for them.
Yeah. Just like him.
And now
just stayed at the same company.
But these people are just transient. They just kind of come through, do their thing, make a name for themselves, get a notch in the belt, and then they move on, to something else. TBS announced its full-scale entry into the video game industry last year, vowing to deliver the most impressive gaming experiences and harness its IP, embarking on a hiring push. Well, let's hope they don't Disney themselves. Put out some good games. Japanese companies are actually doing the exact opposite of what the game companies or direct competitors in the West are doing. They said, noting that local companies have to attract and retain talent in an increasingly competitive hiring landscape. Japanese companies also place a stronger emphasis on long-term employment and employee loyalty. That is true, and I just talked about that. Noting this may contribute to greater stability within the workforce, reducing the likelihood of mass layoffs during challenging times. At the same time, they said Japan's robust domestic gaming market is less reliant on international sales and, as a result, is less vulnerable to fluctuations in global market trends. Another important aspect of Japan's video game market is the pronounced popularity of mobile gaming. Anyone who catches a train during rush hour is likely to have a sense of the strength of this segment.
Yeah, very true. Yeah. Very true. Very true. Like they rely heavily on their mobile games, and mobile games is really popular. It makes me think of a lot of the handheld consoles that they've ever had. Like they're all there's a reason why they had a Game Boy. There's a reason why they had the 3DS, right? DS, right? Any form of PSP, right? And now the Switch, right? You have all these things because they're constantly. It's the way their world is currently. Is they're constantly on the move, or they're kind of waiting, like in rush hour, or waiting on the train because they're just waiting. It just makes sense, right? Why mobile gaming is really popular, and probably playing games on their phones too. Now that Xbox has remote play, you can play a game from literally an Xbox game from your phone, which is crazy, right? Mobile gaming is the way in Japan, and it works. They only have to rely on that. That's doing really well.
According to ASO World, Japan's home to about 70 million mobile gamers.
Wow.
In Japan, you have a whole ecosystem of purely mobile-first and mobile-only game companies.
That's insane.
That is insane. It was so weird here in the West to see them announce, Final Fantasy games for like Nokia phones. Back in the day, that was inconceivable to us. Like, why would you release a Final Fantasy VII spin-off on a Nokia phone? That makes no damn sense. Yeah, it does, because they were playing mobile games on their flip phones.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense.
While the rise of AI, something of a final boss, has created concerns about what it means for the broader industry and its health, the sector in Japan is less threatened because of the need for workers. Looking at the future of the Japanese gaming industry is quite optimistic because they have weathered the storm after Corona much, much better than the West. Further afield, the picture isn't as bright. I think we're going to see big layoffs in the video game industry in the West. It's not the end yet. So, again, they overhired.
Yep, overhired.
The wrong people.
The wrong
in
people.
a lot of cases. And now they're using the tech bubble bursting.
Yeah, tech bubble
and
bursting.
Hollywood bursting
getting rid
and
of all the
all of this
people.
stuff. The venture capital drying up. They're using that as an excuse to get rid of the wrong people, in my opinion. Because you see the people that are getting late.
If they are doing that, targeting the people that are causing them problems in terms of not making money, it does make sense, but who knows if they're really doing it for that reason. They're just like, for all we know, they're probably just firing at anyone that they feel like is not valuable or doing anything important for the company, right? But who
Off. You see
knows?
the projects that are getting canceled in a lot of cases, and there is a common thread. Is basically if Tumblr or Twitter made a video game or made a comic book or made a movie or a TV show, those are the people that are getting purged.
Yeah, those.
And I think what's going to happen is a lot of these companies are going to kind of go back to what is profitable. They're going to have a leaner, meaner team, and I think a lot of it is lip service. Like the economy here in the U.S., the food's a lot more expensive. Yeah, rent's more expensive, but it's not as catastrophic as some people are making it out. In fact, most places I go, I see all kinds of held wanted signs. It's just the entertainment industries. They're purging the activists. I'm going to be honest. They're purging the activists from the entertainment industry because all they want to do is use the platform to bitch about politics and can't.
It would make sense, but quite natural. Who knows if they're doing that? And he is right. They're just using that platform, that product, that game, that franchise to push their politics. That's all they're using it for. That's what they've been. That's their whole goal, is to use your popular character to push their agenda, or to use your favorite game, your favorite franchise, your favorite book to push their agenda, and that's all they care about. They never cared about making money in the first place.
Cancel people. So they're getting rid of those people first. I'm not saying they're not getting rid, or that they're not getting rid of people that are good at their jobs. They might be getting rid of people that are good at their jobs, but they are getting rid of the people that are not good at their jobs that got hired during better times.
Yeah.
And now the free money's run out, and now
Yep.
you're reliable.
All the money's running out.
Go. So let's hope that Nintendo of America does not repeat the same mistakes that other AAA studios, other Western studios have made. So this job listing has been going around.
Localization.
Infinity talked about it.
Oh no.
I saw a couple other YouTubers did videos. I think Yellow Flash did a video on it. This is what they're looking for. According to, is it Nerdigans? Packer Girl? Does Nintendo know what their American branch is doing? I don't know. They said they're looking for a localization product specialist.
That's bad.
But you go down the list, and buried in the middle of it, and
I see it. I can
test and evaluate.
Can't see all of it, but I see it.
They act as a product subject matter to assist other Nintendo departments, collaborates with localization staff at Nintendo of Europe, maintains awareness of game industry in assigned market. Okay, that's fine. Maintains awareness of culturalization and DEI related topics, identifying issues and proposing solutions as needed. So this is a huge sticking point with a lot of gamers right now, partially because of the Sweet Baby Inc. debacle. Gamers don't want their games messed with, and usually their games are messed with by people that are activist minded, and I think that
not even gamers.
This is like
not even people who actually play video games.
I get to identify problematic issues in Nintendo games. That means I can be the one to talk them out of letting white characters have space buns. Hot damn. I can be the one to tell them not to carry certain titles in the eShop because I find them offensive. Hot damn. And I can totally see somebody applying for this job just being like, that's right, I'm going to work for Nintendo, and I'm going to tell them what the West wants. And we saw this with, Funimation and Crunchyroll, that they tried to tell Japanese companies what the West wants. And these companies, I'd like to think they're not stupid. I just think that they don't really fully understand what's going on over here.
Culture war.
A culture war going on.
Yeah, culture war. Yeah, it's a culture war happening.
I don't think they understand that these activists that have gotten into these industries do not speak for like 98% of gamers or comic book readers or animation fans or toy
Yep.
fan, whatever it is,
Yeah,
movie
whatever it is. Yeah,
fans.
they don't
They
speak
don't.
for all of us. It's
And
facts.
I'm concerned now that we're basically gonna let somebody into Nintendo here in the U.S. that's gonna do some more gatekeeping. Now, I don't think this is a new thing necessarily. I think Nintendo has had a DEI statement, and given where they're at in Washington, yeah, absolutely they're gonna have some kind of a DEI statement. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But it's going to be really interesting to see if that has any bearing on the products that Nintendo releases here in the West. Because back in the day, a lot of times what kept Japanese products over here was a language barrier, was a cultural barrier, a market barrier, and we've been fortunate, we've been spoiled in a lot of ways.
Yeah, we've been
That pretty
spoiled.
much everything that gets released in Japan finds its way over here
Yeah,
at some
find
point.
this way over here.
I mean, all the major releases
Yep.
tend to. And that wasn't the case. That definitely was not the case when I was growing up. When I started playing video games, like, we were lucky. If you got a JRPG, you were damn lucky if you got it. If you got every game in a series, you were damn lucky. Look at Final Fantasy for the best example I can think of. Everybody's like talking that their first real JRPG was Final Fantasy VII. And then people were asking, like, well, where's Final Fantasy 5 and 6? Where's Final? Or no,
Yeah, where are
sorry,
those?
4, 5, and 6? Where are Final Fantasies 4, 5, and 6? Because
They get.
we got every other game over
Yeah.
here, pretty much, and they renumbered them. And,
Yeah, they renumbered them. Yeah.
bastardized them in a lot. I think 4, was Easy Type. I want to say it was Easy Type, but yeah, that has not been the case in a while. Unfortunately, we still get people mucking with the translations, and it seems like it's more heavy-handed now than it was even back then. Back then, a lot of times it's like, well, we can't show too much cleavage, or we can't do this, we can't do that. But now we've got them like Square in California going back and like putting more clothes on characters
Not
that
that.
were in
Oh my gosh.
games that rated teen back in the 1990s. We've got them putting more clothes on Mortal Kombat characters. Women that are going to literally get
not
sliced
that.
in half, and you're going to see their insides. But you got to make sure that their boobs are properly covered up.
Yeah, you gotta cover them up.
Weird. It's just so weird. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
there we go, guys. Again, check out Clownfish TV on X. We're going to try to ramp up content over there that will not be here on YouTube. I think some of the stuff will stream over there. We might bring some of it over here, but it's not going to be live. YouTube doesn't seem to work for live streams unless you have a dedicated time set aside per week.
Yeah, I guess that
you can do streams.
also
and we don't.
matters
We're
too,
very
if
busy
you're
and do a
streaming
lot of
on
different things.
YouTube.
So, anyway, please subscribe. We'll talk later.
Yeah. Check them out. I'll link them down below for sure. Yeah, W video. I like watching them. It was just Neon today. Usually Geeky Sparkles is there. But yeah, that was a good video. We're gonna end it off right here. Leave a like, subscribe. Let me know what you think about all of the DEI stuff and all of the everything that was talked about here. You want to check me out and watch the live streams? I'd be streaming on Twitch and Kick. I stream on both platforms. Pick whichever you want to see me on. I stream on both. Right, Mondays, Tuesdays, not Wednesdays. Mostly, we're gonna try to do videos every Wednesday. Right, most likely. Right, that's why I really want to aim for at least edit at least a video every Wednesday, and maybe another day, of course, too. But yeah, see you guys later. Stay good, stay safe. Later, everyone. Goodbye.